Hello and welcome to the Target UPSC Prelims 2024 series, and this is the MCQ practice series of the Target UPSC Prelims 2024 series. So this is the first episode of Economy MCQs. So let's begin. The first question is, which of the following does not influence quantity demanded for a good? So quantity demanded for a good, which of the following does not influence it? Goods own price, price of a complementary good, price of a substitute good, or prices of inputs into production of the good. So the correct answer of this question is option D, that is prices of inputs into production of the good. So let's look at the explanation. Demand is defined as the quantity of a commodity. It is the quantity of a commodity that a consumer is willing and able to buy at a given period of time at a given price. So at a given period of time at a given price, these two are important things. So the demand for the substitute goods inversely affects, so the substitute goods is, it inversely affects the commodity's quantity demanded, hence option C is not correct. Then the demand of the complementary good directly affects the quantity demanded of a commodity. Hence option B is not correct. So this also gets eliminated. Then determinants that influence the quantity demanded of a good are, then those are income of the buyer, then that is consumer trends and tastes, then comes price of related goods, number of potential buyers, and then comes the expectations of future supply. So these are the things which affects it. So the correct answer becomes option D, that is prices of inputs into production of the good. Now let's move on to the next question. That is, which of the following factors signify monopolistic competition? So here it is talking about monopolistic competition. Factors are differentiated products, large number of buyers and sellers, barriers to entry, and then homogeneous products. Select the correct answer using the code given below. 1 and 2 only, 1, 2 and 3 only, 3 and 4 only, 2 and 4 only. So the correct answer of this question becomes option A, that is 1 and 2 only, that is differentiated products and large number of buyers and sellers. So let's see this. The explanation talks about that monopolistic competition is a type of imperfect competition. So it is a type of imperfect competition where there are many sellers in the market. So sellers are many in the market who are competing against each other. So they are competing against each other in the same industry. So industry is same, they are competing against each other, sellers are many, and it is a example of or a type of imperfect competition. Then these sellers sell differentiated products. So they sell the differentiated products and not identical products. So homogeneous products are not sold, they sell the differentiated products. Heavy advertisement and marketing are done by these firms in this market and hence attract large number of buyers and sellers. So buyers and sellers are attracted by a large number. So the correct answer becomes option A, that is 1 and 2 only. Now comes the next question, that is, consider the following statements, other things remaining unchanged. So other things remaining unchanged, market demand for a good might increase if. So if imagine that the market demand for a good, so there is a good whose market demand might increase and other things are remaining unchanged if price of its substitute increases, second, price of its complement increases, third, the good is an inferior good and income of the consumers increases, and fourth, its price falls. Which of the above statements are correct? So it is asking about the correct statement. 1 and 4 only, 2, 3 and 4 only, 1, 3 and 4 only, or 1, 2 and 3 only. So the correct answer is option A, that is 1 and 4 only. Let's look at the explanation. So it is talking about the law of demand. So the law of demand states that other things being equal, so other things being equals, they are not changing. There is a negative relation between demand for a commodity and its price. So see, demand of commodity is inversely proportional. So demand of commodity is inversely proportional to its price. So demand of commodity is inversely proportional to its price. In other words, when price of the commodity increases, demand for it falls. So if the good might increase, the question is asking if the good might increase, then fourth becomes right, that is its price falls because they are inversely proportional. And when price of the commodity decreases, demand for it rises, other factors remaining the same. Therefore fourth one is correct. The quantity of a good that the consumer chooses can increase or decrease with the rise in the price of a related good, depending on whether the two goods are substitutes or complementary to each other. So substitutes and complementary to each other. Then the demand for a good usually increases if the price of its substitute increases. So demand of a good increases if the price of its substitute increases. Therefore first one also becomes correct. And then price of its complement increases is wrong, because complementary goods are goods which are used with it. Like for example, when we make tea, then milk and sugar are used together. Then the good is an inferior good and income of the consumer increases. No, inferior good and the income of the consumer increases. So if the income of the consumer increases, then the consumer does not prefer buying the inferior goods. So this also becomes wrong. So the correct answer is option A, that is 1 and 4 only. Now the next question is, which one of the following is the opportunity cost of a chosen activity? Opportunity cost. A, out of pocket cost. B, out of pocket cost plus cost incurred by the government. C, value of all opportunities foregone. Or D, value of next best alternative that is given up. So the correct answer is option D, that is value of next best alternative that is given up. Next best. Now let's talk about the opportunity cost. So it is the benefit foregone. So it is the benefit foregone due to not choosing an option, or when choosing one alternative over other. One alternative over other. So what is opportunity cost? It is the benefit which is foregone if one is not choosing an option or when choosing one alternative over others. So to properly evaluate opportunity costs, the cost and benefits of every option available must be considered and weighted against the others. And the value of opportunity cost is useful for individuals and organizations for making profitable decision making. So the opportunity cost plays a role. So the correct answer is option D, that is value of next best alternative that is given up. The next question is, when two goods are interchangeable, they are. So there are two goods which are interchangeable. It means they are interchangeable, means they can be changed. So they are perfect substitutes, perfect complement, Giffen goods or Veblen goods. So the correct answer for this question is option A, that is perfect substitutes. So let's look at the explanation. So when two goods are interchangeable, they are known as perfect substitute. So one can be used in place of other and the other can be used in place of the first one. So these are the goods that can satisfy the same necessity in exactly the same way and can be used in place of another. The interchangeability of perfect substitute goods depends on its utility. So they depends on the utility. So utility is the important word here. For instance, a consumer can substitute one small notebook with one large notebook when his utility depends on notebook. So the main thing is about the notebook, be it small or large. So that is secondary. Primary thing is the notebook. So if it is small or large, both can be used. When his utility depends on notebook, provided that the consumer has no liking for the type of the notebook. So the correct answer for this becomes option A, that is perfect substitute. Next question. Increase in absolute and per capita real GNP do not connote a higher level of economic development if. So it is saying that the absolute and per capita real GNP, there is an increase. There is an increase in the absolute and per capita real GNP, but that do not connote a higher level of economic development. So even if the absolute and the per capita real GNP is increasing, it does not mean that the economic development is higher or is taking place. If A, industrial output fails to keep pace with agricultural output, B, agricultural output fails to keep pace with industrial output, C, poverty and unemployment increases, or D, imports grow faster than exports. So the correct answer of this question is, I hope you will be able to give answer of this. So that is option C, that is poverty and unemployment increases. So even in a country, if the absolute and the per capita real GNP is increasing, but poverty and unemployment is also increasing, so that will not lead to higher level of economic development. So if we talk about the GDP, so GDP is the gross domestic product. So if we talk about the GDP, that is the gross domestic product, and it is the market value. It is the market value of all final, final is the important word, of all final goods and services produced in an economy within a given period of time. So the given period of time. Then if we talk about the GNP, that is the gross national product. So GNP is the gross national product, and gross national product is the GDP plus net factor income from abroad. So abroad means outside the territory. It means like if it outside India, take for example our country. So GNP is the GDP plus net factor income from abroad. So GNP measures the monetary value of all the finished goods and services produced by the country's factors of production irrespective of their location, because the location is outside the country also. So while GDP limits its interpretation of the economy to the geographical borders, because GDP do not cover the income from outside, GNP extended to include the net overseas economic activities performed by its nationals also. So if we'll talk about the nominal GDP, let's talk about nominal GDP. So it measures the value of all finished goods and services produced by a country at their current market prices. So current market prices is about nominal GDP. Thus, inflation is not adjusted while computing nominal GDP because it is about current market prices. So, inflation is not a part of it. Now, let's talk about the absolute GNP or real GNP. It is also known as inflation adjusted gross national product. So, it is also known as inflation adjusted gross national product measured at constant base year prices. So, it is measured at base year prices. Now let's talk about per capita GNP. It is the total value of all the goods and services produced by a country in a year, including the income from foreign investments, divided by the number of people living there. So foreign investment divided by number of people living there. Now there is an increase in absolute and per capita real GNP. It does not connote a higher level of economic development if poverty and unemployment also increase. So if poverty and unemployment will also increase, so that will not lead to higher level of economic development, because this means the growth is not inclusive. So growth is not inclusive and not reaped by many, and growth inequality will rise. So the correct answer is option C, that is poverty and unemployment. Now let's talk about the next question, and that is a decrease in tax to GDP ratio. So the tax to GDP ratio is seen as a decrease of a country indicates which of the following. So that there are two statements. First, slowing economic growth rate, and second, less equitable distribution of national income. Select the correct answer using the code given below. 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. So the correct answer for this question is option A, that is 1 only. So let's talk about this. So the tax to GDP ratio is the ratio of a nation's tax revenue relative to its GDP. Tax revenue relative to its GDP. For example, if India's tax to GDP ratio is 20%, it means that the government is getting 20% of its GDP as tax contribution. So whatever, if there is 100% of GDP, out of that 20% is what they are receiving from the tax contribution. So the tax to GDP ratio is used to compare tax receipts from year to year. So the point to point measurement can be done. As taxes are related to economic activity, the ratio should stay relatively consistent, because if consistency will be there, it means that the economy is working fine and it is stable. When the gross domestic product grows, tax revenue should increase as well. So if GDP will be directly proportional, GDP will be directly proportional to tax revenue. Economic slowdown results in lower rate of growth. So if there is an economic slowdown, so that will result in lower rate of growth, where unemployment usually rises and consumer spending decreases. Because if unemployment will rise, people will not be able to have money in their pocket, so the spending will also decrease. As a result, tax to GDP ratio declines. Therefore, first statement is correct. Now let's talk about the second, that is the less equitable distribution of national income is not directly related to decrease in tax to GDP ratio. So it is not directly related. Equal distribution of national income and resource allocation generally depends upon the economic planning of a country. Economic planning of a country. So second becomes wrong. Therefore option A is the correct answer. Now moving on to the next question. Which of the following are the propositions of Washington Consensus? So the Washington Consensus took place, and what are the prepositions of it? So that is first, fiscal discipline, second, privatization, third, trade liberalism, fourth, tax reforms. Select the correct answer using the code given below. 1 and 3 only, 3 and 4 only, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 2 only. So the correct answer of this question is option C, that is 1, 2, 3 and 4. So fiscal discipline, privatization, trade liberalism and tax reforms all are correct. So let's understand this. So the term Washington Consensus was coined by the British economist John Williamson in the year 1989, under which he had suggested a set of policy reforms. So policy reforms, set of policy reforms were suggested, and the policy reforms included 10 propositions, that is fiscal discipline, redirection of public expenditure priorities towards fields offering both high economic returns and the potential to improve income distribution. So fiscal discipline, so first becomes correct. Then tax reforms, then comes liberalization of interest rate, a competitive exchange rate, trade liberalization, liberalization of FDI inflows, privatization, deregulation in the sense of abolishing barriers to entry and exit, and security of property rights. Therefore, these are the prepositions of Washington Consensus, 10 prepositions, and out of these 10 prepositions, fiscal discipline, privatization, trade liberalism, tax reforms, all are correct. Therefore, the correct answer is option C, that is 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now, moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements regarding GDP deflator. So, GDP we have already discussed, that is the gross domestic product. So, what is GDP deflator? There are two statements given. First, GDP deflator is a measure of general price inflation. And second, the basket for the GDP deflator is allowed to change from year to year with people's consumption and investment patterns. People's consumption and investment patterns. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? One only, both 1 and 2, 2 only, neither 1 nor 2. So the correct answer is option B, that is both 1 and 2. So let's see this. So GDP deflator is a measure. GDP deflator is a measure of general price inflation. So first becomes correct. General price inflation, it is a more comprehensive inflation measure than the CPI index. So as compared to the CPI index, it is more comprehensive. It is more comprehensive because it is not based on a fixed basket of goods and services. So fixed basket of goods and services it is not based on. And if we talk about the GDP price deflator, so GDP price deflator, then it is nominal GDP into 100 upon real GDP. So that becomes nominal GDP into 100 upon real GDP. That is how the GDP deflator or GDP price deflator comes. Then other indices of inflation like the CPI and the WPI are based on fixed basket, whereas the basket for the GDP deflator is allowed to change from year to year. So the basket for the GDP deflator is allowed to change from year to year, that is point to point, with people's consumption and investment patterns. Therefore, option B is the correct answer, that is both 1 and 2. Now let's move to the next question. So it is talking about India has adopted a new methodology of calculating its GDP, that is the gross domestic product, in line with the international standards. Which of the following statements in this regard is or are correct? So there are three statements. First, the upgradation of calculating GDP is to meet the UN standards. Second, the base year has been changed from 2004-5 to 2011-12. The new database is more comprehensive because it covers financial institutions and regulatory bodies also. Select the correct answer using the code given below. 1 and 2 only, 2 only, 2 and 3 only, all of the above. So the correct answer for this question is option D, which is all of the above. It means all three statements are correct. Now let's talk about the gross domestic product is the single standard indicator used across the globe to indicate the health of the nation's economy. It is the sum of private consumption, gross investment in the economy, government investment, government spending, and net foreign trade. Then in 2015, a new series was announced to calculate the GDP by upgrading the methodology to meet the UN standards. Therefore, option, that is statement 1 is correct. Then the base year for GDP calculation was changed from 2004 and 5 to 2011 and 12. So earlier it was 2004 and 5, but now it has been changed to 2011 and 12. A new data series was used for the organized private sector. So for the private sector, it was MCA 21. Therefore, statement 2 is also correct. Then comes it includes the data of all the companies registered with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So it is the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, with each company allotted with a unique 21 digit code. So the new database is more far reaching as it covers financial institutions and regulatory bodies also. Therefore, statement 3 is also correct. And if we talk about the MCA 21 database, it considers balance sheet data of individual company and gathers the performance of the sector after adjusting for inflation. So inflation is also adjusted in this. So therefore, the correct answer is option D, that is all of the above. Now next question, and this is the practice question. And what happens in the practice question? As always, you people will give me the answer where? In the comment section. So in the comment section, you people will give me the answer of this question. So let's read out the question. Which one of the following methods of planning is an attempt to work out the implications of the development effort in terms of factor allocations and product yields so as to maximize income and employment? So, which of the following methods of planning is an attempt to work out the implications of the development effort in terms of factor allocations and product yields so as to maximize income and employment? A. Perspective planning, B. Physical planning, C. Financial planning, and D. Indicative planning. So, out of these four, which is the correct answer? Read this out and tell me in the comment section. And like always, till we meet next time, keep reading, keep writing, and keep subscribing to the channel. So, this was it for today. In next episode, we will discuss about the more questions. So, thank you so much for watching.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.